All right, so you want me to introduce myself? Is everybody here? Or should we wait for people to pile in?
And Unlep, are we you set? Ape, how about a self-introduction?
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Naked Ape. I am a 13-year-old Cuban boy from the Bronx. I grew up a poor black man. I have a very, I am a disenfranchised urban youth who was involved in many drug activities. I also do YouTube as a hobby. I enjoy. I also really enjoy, read things and pretending like I'm big brained. It's something that I enjoy. I think I'm getting close to actually being kind of big brained. You know, I've read a lot of books and a lot of dank memes, which have broadened my horizon. So yeah, that's me. I have a YouTube channel, talk shit on the internet. I describe myself as fairly right wing, although I have to remind people that I don't consider myself a white nationalist. I don't consider myself a part of the alt-right. Like I have many. I disagree with the alt-right from a conservative position because they're not right-wing enough. Basically, the alt-right is kind of shit in my opinion. So yeah, that's me. I'm too big-brained for racism. I think that's everything that I can say about myself. Let's go ahead and start with why the hell am I even on the server? Wendell has a good question. Why is Naked Ape on the server? He's fucking dumb and racist. I don't know why I'm on here. Why don't you guys answer? What the fuck do you enter? I got to be honest with you. This is actually a question that I ask myself a lot. Why are people interested in what I have to say? Also, who the fuck is Naked Ape? A question that I ask all the goddamn time. I don't know why people like what I have to say. I think I say things people feel instinctively, but haven't quite like really formed. Like it's funny thinking about how mentally deranged transgender people are. So I can say it in a way that that people will accept jokingly without actually having to consciously realize what they're thinking about. Race realism is a topic that I could discuss. As an example. You talk about it jokingly, people will sort of understand what you're saying. And if people, just so long as they don't, get too big brained and have to realize, oh, this is pretty racist. This is really bad. And it makes me feel bad. I'm not going to get good boy points. So long as you can get people sort of joking about it and laughing about it, it's funny. It's funny to sort of think about those naughty things that you're not supposed to think about. And I think that's why people listen to me, because I'm able to express this truth that people understand and believe, but aren't really able to express. About how Jews control media. An example.
I have a question for you.
What is the question?
What is your opinion on gun control, and especially with recently in the news about 3D printing?
My opinion is that only white people should have guns. I don't know, man. That's kind of like a generic question. I mean, I'm just going to say that I am an NRA member, and I own several guns, and I plan to own more. And I think that gun control is stupid. I mean, legitimately speaking, gun control in the United States would not decrease crime. Most guns that are used in criminal acts are bought illegally anyway. So yeah, it's gun control is stupid. The people who believe in it are stupid. The statistics that the people quote for gun control are fucking stupid. Half of the people who die of gun-related deaths, the 30,000, half of them are suicide, and the other half of the left are killed in gang-related violence, and the other half are killed by the police because they're fucking criminals, and the rest of them are black, killed by other black people. None of it makes any fucking sense. Their entire argument falls down when you actually ask them, well, where do these people come from? Where most of them are suicides or black on black crime or drug related crime. Gun control is stupid. If you believe in gun control, you're fucking stupid. Here's a good question. Emperor Under Heaven says ape equals irrelevant. That's entirely true. I have not made good content in about a year. Next question.
Open itself up to the world.
Noodles wants to ask, can someone unmute me? I don't know. Noodles, can someone unmute you?
So, Abe, I don't know if you know, but there is a text chat called Naked Ape AMA. There are
just looking at the general chat. That's
yeah, I'm like, who? Where are you reading this from?
Yeah, just reading it all over the place.
So there's a Naked Ape AMA, and the pinned messages are messages that the users have for you.
Okay. Do I start at the bottom or do I start at the top? I guess I'll start at the bottom because it's the earliest ones.
Yeah.
What is his opinion on Alex Jones being banned off the internet all at once? I don't know. What's your opinion on the fact that they're making history books in AP history in high school right now, saying that Donald Trump won because people were afraid of Hillary Clinton being a woman? What's your opinion on that? Is it that we live in some kind of Orwellian fucking nightmare where if the left wins, they will teach your children to hate you and despise you because of your whiteness? Is that what you think? Do you think they're going to create some kind of Orwellian fucking world where your very thoughts, your very existence is used as a moral pulpit to grind your existence into dust as they push through their globalist, social constructivist fucking nightmare world? Is that what you think? Anyway, would you like to debate Croton T again? I honestly would like to have a conversation with him and try to convince him to not come back to YouTube. The guy needs to not be on YouTube. He has too many problems. He needs to just stay away from it. What do you think about the idea of implementing universal healthcare in the USA? And do you think it could work? Universal healthcare doesn't really work anywhere very well. It only keeps down all the costs because we pay for everything. We pay for all of your R&D. We pay for all of your defense. We pay for you, so you little cuck Europeans can sit on your fucking asses and enjoy trap porn while the Russians sell you oil, okay? So fuck you. Fuck universal healthcare. It's something that I've seen a few systems of universal healthcare work. Like I think Sweden has a public and private. Not Sweden. Switzerland has a public and private combined system that works fairly well because it combines the public and the private sector. I think that it can work, but the real issue is morally speaking, I don't think it's something that we should let the government have an impact on. I think that government being involved in healthcare is something that increases the power of government too much, in my opinion. Your thoughts on gay marriage? Marriage is a scam. I am not going to get married to my boo because we make too much money and our taxes would be too high. Why the fuck would you do that? Thoughts on workers' exploitation? My thoughts on workers' exploitation is that if you don't have a job, you're a dirty fucking hippie and go fuck yourself. What does he think of Tommy Robinson?
Tenet and principle of which all your convictions refer to.
Sure. What does he think of Tommy Robinson and his false imprisonment? I think that the United Kingdom has become a laughingstock of anybody intelligent. What are your thoughts on the increasing partisanship of the United States and elsewhere? What are some ways to combat it? This is an interesting fucking question. What are your thoughts on the increasing partisanship in the United States and elsewhere? So in general, the scientific position that I would take comes from Jonathan Haidt's book. I forget the name of it. He wrote a book. What is the fucking name of it called? I have it somewhere. I just don't have it set up in my office right now. The Righteous Mind is the name. He talks about how personal bias is quite literally addictive, that whenever you see things that enhance your bias, it will give a hit of dopamine to your ventral striatum, which is the same area of the brain that is affected by heroin. I think that the problem is that people have latched on to these emotive narratives driven by postmodernist bullshit. I think it's a problem of modernism in general. I don't think the increasing partisanship exists in the United States as a standalone complex. I think it is a complex of modernism itself that partisanship and ideological extremities exist. I mean, like think about it like 200 years ago. What are the things that could have led to the genocide of millions of fucking people? Like think about it. Religion, maybe. Islam is the only other actor in history which has genocided people on a scale that we've seen in modernism. But then modernism comes around, and suddenly your value structures are taken over by these moderate skeptic fuckboys. And then people are like, well, if God doesn't create morality, then morality is subjective. So I'm going to kill you because you're not a communist. That's what happens. It's because the increasing partisanship in political extremes is because of a lack of central moral values. And that's what's happening in the United States right now. It's an effect of modernism. It's sort of like a little petri dish. Our central moral values, what it means to be American, is being whittled away by, you know who's doing it, fucking Democrats. Anyway, I'd like to ask this verbally. Your thoughts on the D-state and Russian...
Did he say that he was...
What? Oh, what's up? Okay. What is that? Could you guys hear me or something? Like what the fuck's happening?
Yeah.
Weird, what's going on? Oh, where?
Cheers for that. So the fuck was my question going? So I've got something like a two-part question, which is one, what's your thoughts on Russian interference and collusion, given all the recent developments? 26 Russians indicted in total, 85 plus Russians have been connected to the Trump campaign. Bettina had a back channel connected to someone in the presidential transition team. The SSCI reaffirmed the ICA's assessment in 2017. So all of that, this is part one. What is your thoughts given all these recent developments?
Okay, so if you think the Russian collusion is a big deal, you're a fucking idiot. You are a brain-dead moron. You are the stupidest fucking person in the room. You should literally eat shit. That would be the most intelligent thing that you would do if you really think the Russian intelligence thing is a big deal. First of all, influencing an election is something we do all the fucking time. You stupid ignoramus. Obama going to the United Kingdom and telling them to vote against Brexit is influencing their election. Nobody's throwing him in fucking jail. Israel influences the United States elections far more than Russia ever could or would. You think Russia buying some fucking Facebook, some goddamn Facebook ads is influencing the election? What the fuck is wrong with you? How fucking stupid are you that you think that Facebook ads are an act of treason or are investigatable? At the very most, what anybody has done, if they have anybody dead to rights colluding with Russian, it's a campaign finance violation. That's all this fucking is, you ignoramus, at the very most. And what kind of campaign finance, what were they doing? What was the big deal? All the Russians are alleged to have done is tell the United States people the truth about what Hillary fucking Clinton did against Bernie Sanders, against the Democratic Party, how much corruption was happening in the media, as an example, the lies, the backstabbing, the ethical violations. Without the Russians, according to the left, you wouldn't have known that Donna Brazile slipped the questions to Hillary Clinton ahead of the debate. So you think that it's a bigger deal that we learned the truth about Hillary Clinton. You think the bigger deal is how we learned it rather than what the fuck she was doing. Go fuck yourself. That's my answer to that. What's your next question?
All right, I got one. How can you support the free market when it has been shown that the average man is easily led? How can a free marketer combat stuff like a McDonald's and poor?
Honestly, I think it's a good question. I think that I don't think that capitalism is, free from criticism. I think that there are right-wing criticisms of capitalism. One of the right-wing criticisms of capitalism is the fact that it frees the individual to as much serotonin and dopamine as they were to wish to purchase. I think that the issue with capitalism isn't the system itself. The issue with capitalism is the liberal culture that surrounds capitalism. There are things that we think commonly in society today that are unquestioned by people. I think the most the clearest example I can give is the idea that what the pursuit of happiness means in the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence, when it says the pursuit of happiness, in modern terms, we believe it to mean, well, whatever makes you happy, man. Just don't hurt anybody else. Take as much fucking heroin as you want. Don't give a fuck about your daughter. It's that kind of bullshit. The NAP kind of bullshit that people believe commonly. That's the problem. Capitalism is just, the natural state of being. It's being able to exchange goods and services in a voluntary manner. That's all that capitalism is. And the system of capitalism is just the human psychology and the manipulation of human psychology to function this natural system. The problem is the culture that has arisen around capitalism and that capitalism uses to sell itself has sort of denied human beings in a real and functional and tangible way, denied that human beings have some sort of personal responsibility. Because, you make more money if all you sell is porn and drugs. It's really hard to sell people on self-restraint.
So Patriot Act had a second part to his question before, and unmute him.
Cheers. So as well as that being all fake news, this part 2 is your thoughts on alleged FISA abuse. Do you buy into the fake news of Nunes and Trump trying to put forth this notion of abuse when it's virtually impossible to do once you know the details of how FISA works?
You are a serious fucking idiot. You are fucking stupid.
The question.
Shit. How fucking stupid are you? Have you never looked into this? Do you literally just eat shit and watch CNN? What the fuck, man? FISA abuse never fucking happens. No, I mean, what the fuck, man? All right. This is coming from the same political party that said 9/11 was an inside job, okay? That the government lied to bring us into war into Iraq. By the way, the same fucking people you jacked your little dicky off to, the same CIA agents, the same FBI agents, are the same fucking people who said they had WMDs in Iraq. What the fuck is wrong with you? How can you speak out of two sides of your ass so well? The same fucking people on the left are saying, oh, we got to trust the government. The same people who said 9/11 was an inside job and Bush lied to us. Okay, you can think whatever you want about 9/11, all right? But if you're really eating shit from the commie CIA fucks, right? The same people you said were lying to get us into war and how that was treason, but now they're suddenly on your side about it, you're a fucking moron. And to get into the actual answer, there was a really great article about this on the Conservative Treehouse. I wonder if I can find it, where they discussed the Freedom of Information Act on the FISA abuse, where there is evidence of that somebody lied when doing the FISA application. Basically, somebody at I think it was the DOJ, signed off on the Steele document, which, by the way, the FISA application was done in large part in response to the Steele document, the P-Gate document, the same one. BuzzFeed is the CIA right now. That was the document that was largely the basis of the FISA application. So when you have somebody lying about the verifiability of this, I think I don't remember who. I need to pull up the article. Going to Congress and saying this was never verified, but then they signed the document to the FISA judge saying that this was verified information. That is lying. That is lying to a judge. That isn't fake news. That is a verifiable fact. It is a verifiable fact that you lied in front of Congress and said that the Steele document was not verified and not used, and then you signed off on the FISA warrant application saying that the Steele document was used. Also, it's really weird. The person who they used as the sort of in for their wiretapping used to be an FBI asset in like 2015, 2014. So how is it that they use an FBI asset, okay, as an example of the Russian abuse to get a FISA warrant? Sounds to me like a sting. Sounds to me like somebody fucked up. Sounds to me like FISA abuse. This is all verifiable fact. If you, I can understand if you want to like disagree with the facts. That's fine. That's fine. I may be wrong about the facts, but this isn't a Trump tweet. This is a legitimate accusation with legitimate truth behind it that the FISA abuse happened. Anyway, you can respond.
Yeah. So the reason why that's simply fake news is if you read both the Schiff memo, the Nunes memo, both of those on their own actually reaffirm that the Steele dossier was verified. That's one. Two.
The Steele dossier was verified.
If you then read the FISA applications, right? It does reference to the Steele dossier, but not by a whole bunch. Now, if you know exemption codes under FOIA, you can read, for example, whenever there's a 7B2D1, that exemption code refers to a confidential source of national security relevance. Whenever those are referenced, and if you read the application, they're literally all over the place. And within each authorization, these pages expand up to 30 pages at one point. That means it's using information literally other than that one source.
This is a document that was paid for by the this is a document paid for by
hold on, I'm responding. So one, the FISA applications reference a fuck ton more if you read the exemption codes and know what they mean. Again, two is if you read the applications and the Schiff memo, you can see clearly that they actually articulate to the physic that political bias was actually noted to the court. Both the Schiff memo and the FISA applications literally spell this out. So there was no lying, right? So these allegations, which you've made in response to my question, are fake news. Sorry, you just got BTFO'd.
Yeah, I got BTFO. I got to be honest with you. I'm not up on all the jargon and lingo you used. It's kind of it's what people would call a gish gallop, to be honest with you. It's not explaining something to people as at a person-to-person basis. And if you have to, gish gallop, if you can't explain something like to a 5-year-old or to the general audience, you really don't understand it. You're just trying to fool people. And I'm perfectly willing to admit when I don't understand something. I'm fine with that. That's perfectly fine. But the fact that you think the Steele dossier is something verified or verifiable is really fucking sad and pathetic. I mean, this is the Steele dossier, the same thing that was paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign as an opera research. This was clearly campaign research. The fact that it was circulated so much by different, by both the Obama administration, the FBI, and everybody else. I mean, to be honest with you, that doesn't make your case stronger. It makes it weaker. It makes it weaker to say that, well, everybody else was in on it. And the Steele dossier was used as an extension for the FISA. And this is something that James Clapper has said. So the Steele dossier was used in the FISA application. The Steele dossier is something that is unverified and unverifiable in a lot of cases. I mean, if really something that was released in BuzzFeed is your best argument, it's just, I'm just going to wait until the rest of that is declassified. That's all I really have to say about it. We really need to wait for it to be declassified, but the fact that this is your strongest sources is it's kind of sad and pathetic. Anyway, so let's do the next question. I'm going to try and find that article on it. I'm perfectly willing to admit if I'm not an expert on something, I'll try to find the article on it and see.
Searching that, I got a question for you.
What is that?
It's on Planned Parenthood and abortion.
Uh-huh. Does a question come in for voice?
what is your views on Planned Parenthood and abortion?
Just that's the question. Planned Parenthood and abortion.
Yeah, just that.
I mean, it's fairly clear that abortion is at some level is unethical. You can't say that something that, if it's inside of the womb and you could do surgery and it could live outside of the womb, that's not the woman's body. That's a baby inside of your womb. And sometime within the second trimester, you can do that. I'm willing to say that abortion in some cases is justifiable. And before there is the creation of the brain stem and all of these things, I think it's justifiable to, in the very early stages, to do an abortion, because you can really say, well, that's just a clump of cells. But there's some legitimate point along the line, somewhere in the first trimester, that sentience, I'm uncomfortable with it, because I believe there's something sentient about in that so-called clump of cells. So that's my opinion.
Okay. Do you think there are legitimate times the government should censor information in real time? Like the event is happening and no one in the public knows, i.e. one time there was a warden in a max security prison.
Yeah.
All the news people knew was there was training going on. That kind of bothered me.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfectly fine. There are some reasons why information should be censored, of course. I mean, that's kind of a silly question. There's a lot of situations where we can think about that.
In a few decades, the GDP of China will be higher than the US's.
That's not true.
And if so, how should we be combating it now?
I mean, that's not true. The GDP higher than the United States in a few decades, it's not true. I mean, I really highly doubt that. There are some. What I'm responding to is a recent report out about China's GDP currently being higher than the United States, but that's because they decided to change, what it means to have a GDP. Because they decided that Nike shoes costing $70 and whatever shit shoes the Chinese workers making the Nike shoes should be priced at the same time at the same GDP. So that's essentially what they did when they made the decision recently to say that Chinese GDP is higher than the United States. They decided to say, well, they can still buy shoes, they just can't buy Nike kicks. So their shoe is just as valuable as a Nike kick. No. First of all, quality branding and advertisement does go into what the strength of your economy. If you can afford that, then you have more money, and that more money and more people getting paid for that shoe or the production of whatever it is a sign of wealth and health of your economy. And just because some old lady made it in the back of your yard doesn't make it the same as a Nike shoe. So the other thing about the Chinese GDP, the higher growth that they're experiencing has been lowering as of late. And this is something where I'm perfectly fine with saying that I'm not up and up on it. I looked into it like a little while ago. My information is probably going to be wrong, so take this with a grain of salt. Last time I checked, the Chinese GDP was largely based off of international trade, and their trade reports fell fairly drastically recently. It's been kind of going down quite a lot. The Chinese stock market has been contracting since the tariffs. Everything is kind of going downhill for them. The real issue with China is their debt ratio. People give us shit about our debt, but the problem with China is that they have a very large amount of corporate and other debt that they just play a shell game with, and eventually that's gonna come crashing down. The rates that I read, again, this is all from memory. I didn't prepare this shit at all. And when Japan went through its huge contraction, like the 80s, 90s, it had like a 20% corporate debt basis, whereas China is somewhere like 40%. So. Yeah, no, that's I really don't think it's going to happen. I think people are overestimating the possible Chinese. It's possible if they win the Cold War they've been doing by stealing all of our intellectual technology that they could do it, but I really don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that you can beat the God-given position of the United States. One example, by the way, why we're always going to be on top, we have more miles of navigable river than the rest of the world combined, and more deep water ocean ports on the western, western eastern seaboard than the rest of the Western Hemisphere combined. You can't beat that. I'm sorry. The United States is always going to win. Anyway, so yeah.
Okay, what are your opinions about incels and how they came to be? Do you believe that they have a significant negative effect on society going forward?
I'm not really. I mean, incels is just, it's the fact that male sexuality is not as valuable as female sexuality. So men get very frustrated about that. It's if you want to like talk about it, ultimately the problem is that monogamy is dead. So women are going, a large percent of women are going after the 20% of guys who meet their standards, and the rest of guys are kind of shit out of luck. There's studies to back that up, by the way. So that's kind of the problem. The problem is that monogamy is dead, and male sexuality is no longer as valuable because a male's value is no longer attached to their strength in the community. So that's kind of where incels come from.
Good. When do you think that the EU will fall due to corruption and tyranny it enforces on other countries? For example, an election in Italy being entirely destroyed due to a Eurosceptic member of the leading party.
So I think that I think that conflicts like this only arise out of desperation. But the problem is that people need to understand where their desperation is coming from. You look at a situation like Greece, where from their economic desperation, they don't understand it's because you're all fucking lazy. You retire at 50, and your depreciation is making it impossible for you to export anything. They don't get it, so they blame the man or whatever, and they elect socialists. Whereas Italy is actually understanding that it's the problem of globalism. I think that this is sort of what happens when desperate economic times happen. People try to find a reason that fits with whatever narrative they already have. And eventually enough, people will find a reason enough to go to war. Or at least, to be much more, geopolitically confrontational.
What do you think America has become in the last 20 years? Has it become better or worse, in your opinion?
I don't know. Next question.
What is the founding tenet principle of which all your convictions refer to?
Okay, so there has to be a Catholic who can answer the question. I can never fucking remember this word. What is the phrase for the love that God has for mankind and the universe? What is that? It's like Agartha, I think. Agartha is not it. That's the word of the some conspiracy theory about Nazis. But what's that fucking word? I can never remember it. Basically, the love that God has for mankind is the wish to see the universe fulfilled. It's the wish to see God's plan come to fruition. I think I'm probably butchering this. I was never went to Catholic school, but I think that is ultimately what I believe. I believe that that natural law exists, that it comes from the inherent existence of the universe, and that it is good to wish the universe to exist because we live in it. And if you wish the universe to not exist, then you're kind of going against your own existence. You can do that, but you're literally the universe's definition of evil. So I wish that the natural law shall come to fruition, and I believe that the survival of the fittest and conservative institutions, conservative beliefs are closer aligned to that natural
law. Have you ever heard of Mr. Enoch Powell? And if so, what are your opinions on him?
He did nothing wrong, literally did nothing wrong. The River of Blood speech was something that he was quoting somebody else when he said the River of Blood speech, so it wasn't even his idea. He was just expressing this is what is happening in our neighborhoods. The ethnic tensions are getting high. Why are you doing this to us? We were never asked. He literally did nothing wrong. And the United Kingdom is a disgusting, cucked place. Honestly, the United Kingdom deserves their little girls deserve to be raped. They deserve everything they're bringing back on themselves for what they did to that brilliant man. I'm kind of frustrated that he decided to quit in order to back a vote out of the EU. He should have become prime minister. He fucking could have. Would have made everything better. Poor guy. Pal did nothing wrong.
Right. If you could change one thing about the political scene in America, what would it be? For example, reforming checks and balances, licensing media, and more.
One thing about the United States. So there's a problem that I've been posing to the leftists and the rightists at the same time. And the issue is that how do you get people to believe in an overarching value system? That's kind of the issue that we have in the United States and the West in general. How do you get people to do that when, as example, in Sargoy, liberalists, all you believe in is the tolerance bullshit. It's tolerance and apathy are the last vestiges of a dying civilization. It's a good quote. It's fucking great. But it's how do you do that? I don't know. What I think we really need is a spiritual revival, a rejection of materialism as it's impacted on modernism, and an acceptance of a sort of human spirit and grand narrative. That's what I think we need. I don't know where it can come from. I have no idea what it could be. I have my own. We should have one as a community. That's basically all I can say about that.
Right. Kemper's asking, who on the left do you respect?
On the left?
Yeah.
There's YouTubers that I respect. I disagree with Sargon, but I respect him. He's...
Well, he's not a lefty.
Well, he is on the left. He's not like super left, but he is left. If you want to say like a leftist, like a full-blown leftist, I don't know if I can really say that I respect anybody on the left, because I really do believe that the farther left you go, at some point you are quite literally acting against the benefit of humanity. And I don't think I can respect that, even in all honesty. I can be friendly to somebody on the left. I can I'm not gonna. I can joke around with them. Egoists are fucking great. They're hilarious. At the same time, at some point, you are giving up your own humanity, in my opinion, and you are causing yourself to be less of a human being by your own beliefs. Communists, socialists, etc. I think that they are. I literally believe that their belief systems make them lesser people. Also Muslims. Next question.
Maggie for Queen asks you, what do you think of the British parliamentary system?
I don't like how the prime minister is elected by representatives. I think that I also don't like how it's functionally unicameral. I know you have the House of Lords, but from my information, I could be wrong about this. The House of Lords doesn't really do shit except rubber stamp things and act like they exist. I don't really like that. There's not enough checks and balances, in my opinion. But question time is amazing, and the parliamentary debates are fucking great. Yelling at each other over that old fucking golden staff. Oh shit, that's good stuff. I was into that for like 2 years. I would watch the shit out of all the fucking presidential debates. It was good stuff.
Okay. Philosophic Stone asks you, do people with Down syndrome or heavy autism use too much resources in the world without giving any work power back? For example, water, food, home, supplies, etc.
The issue I have with questions like that is the denial of fundamental humanity. It's a question that you could ask, but do we as beings have the right to impose that question? There are some things where you can absolutely say that this person is making a deliberate choice to be a lesser human being in their beliefs or actions, but something like that, I find a question like that, it's a legitimate question, of course, but it's something that I don't think that we should ever act on. I think the questions about the humanity of other people, while jokingly hilarious, are Well, it's something that I don't think that you should continue down for very long. It's very dangerous in my opinion. I mean, like, to be honest with you, if you want to ask like the question, you want to go down there. Some people with mental disabilities, I can say with a clear conscience, I think it would have been better for them personally if they had not been born. Some people with degenerative diseases are themselves living a life that I personally don't think is worth living. But the question is do they feel that, or do they feel anything else? For some people, you can say without any question that their life is pain, and perhaps it would have been better for them to not be born. For some other people, you can see how there's a sort of a bittersweet beauty in their existence, and the coming to fruition of the universe is God's plan, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm personally, I don't think I could ever honestly say that as a blanket statement in any honest way. It's a good question. There probably are examples of that, but I don't know. And I don't think that we can ever truly know for sure as human beings the full value of other human beings in that way, or the full humanness of other human beings in that way.
Okay. What is your opinion on gun control? Says emoji face.
I already asked the question. Actually,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So Philosophic Stone is asking, will North Korea ever open itself to the world while not trying to get any help by other countries?
I'm sorry, what?
Philosophical Stone is asking you, will North Korea ever open itself to the world while not trying to get help by other countries?
I think that North Korea is going to open itself. I think that's how all these juntas, change, because eventually the leaders realize that they can have a lot more fucking money if they just let capitalism in. I think that's the honest truth. Like, that's what happened with Burma. They're sorely economically liberalizing, because they realize that, hey, we can have a lot more fucking money if we let you sell shit to us. And that's good.
Twin Branch is asking you, Ape, what are your thoughts on the left pushing women to act like men while pushing men to act like women?
I mean, it's just an example of the postmodernist critique, the belief that all things are socially constructive, and that the deconstructing of these social constructions is a benefit as we create some social some sort of utopia where nobody is put upon in these created roles for them. Like, how dare you ask me to behave as a human being? I identify as a dog. It's the same shit, in my opinion.
Okay. Black Eyes Gold Dragon is asking you, Naked Ape, how can you claim race realism without finding the gene?
Well, at some level, you have to say that there is no other. There's no other honest possibility. I can't. You can be a skeptic and say, well, you can't know for actual sure. You can't really know 100%. But if you really want to go down that line of skepticism, you just go down the line of postmodernism. You can't know anything for sure. There's a Descartes' demon of the mind, something like that. I forget the fucking phrase. It's been a long time since I took philosophy. You don't know. You don't know anything at that level. So at some point, you have to say, I've seen enough evidence where I can make a justifiable proposition that this is probably true. It's probably true that race realism is true. That doesn't mean that we should make any actions about it. Doesn't mean we should make legislation about it. In my opinion, it just means that we should realize this is a part of what makes us human, the dirty grandeur of it, and move
on. I think Actual Communist Boy has a question for you.
Here's a good question by Actual Communist. Will the falling rate of profit lead to the inevitable demise of capitalism? If so, do you prefer socialism or barbarism? That's stupid. First of all, the falling rate of profit is not going to happen. I don't think you'll understand how economies work. What I think is actually going to happen is, first of all, communism has failed every single proposition, every single claim it's ever made has failed. It's just demonstrable that capitalism works better as an economic unit. And also the labor theory of value, which is what a lot of communists use, is fundamentally flawed, because communists don't understand that the labor you put into something doesn't make something valuable. Some autistic kid swinging an axe at a tree for 5 hours does not make a house. The reason why anything is valuable is deeply psychological and deeply, you could call it spiritual if you wanted to. That would really be a good descriptor for these stupid reasons why people think something is valuable. Think about like antiques. Why is one stamp more valuable than another stamp? It's because there is something about this stamp that brings out the essence of its stampness to stamp collectors because it has a quirk about it. What about that is labor? What about that is makes sense? So the problem with your idea is that profit is that eventually we'll run out of resources or we'll run out of things to build. It's not going to happen. People will always find new things to build that will make your life more in an intrinsic way better and easier. And that's what's happening. And from that understanding, people are specializing more and more. Which is something that, by the way, Marx said that essentially it's going to be a bastardization. The specialization is something that would lead to communism because of the feeling of alienation, which is actually not true. What happens? This is the sort of argument between Marcuse and Freud. Freud believed that society is essentially putting on upon people and forcing people to push their inner humanity down, whereas Marcuse believed that, well, we could just let everybody be free and then they'll make more art and they'll be producing stuff. But that's not what happens. People aren't, turning towards socialism or turning towards, people aren't turning towards, their proletariat identity. People are turning towards their capitalistic identity. They're identifying with what they consume more and more. Now, I'm perfectly willing to say that, this consumerism is not necessarily healthy, but that's not the demise of capitalism. That's the fruition of capitalism. The identification of what you could, in the personal identification of what you consume is strictly capitalistic. What I think is happening and is going to happen is our history, the history of society, is going to move away from the socialistic bullshit. And it's going to move towards an understanding of we're going to stop measuring history by the movements of people and start measuring history by how individual inventions impacted our personal lives. There's more change now in the fact that we have an iPhone in our pocket than any of the wars that have happened in the past 10 years. Your life has changed more and have been impacted more by the capitalist structure of invention than by anything else that's happened in geopolitics and politics. Unless the bomb drops, the iPhone has done more for your life than anything else. Okay, so that's what's happening. That's what's going to happen. And that's why I think that communism, even as an ideology, will fall off the face of the planet, because it's something that people will intrinsically understand once the iPhone 26 comes out and they can implant it in their brain and, and it basically we reach singularity. So no, go fuck yourself. Next one.
You got a rebuttal, Communist Boy, or?
Well, I guess on the first one, when you're talking about the falling rate of profit, right? So this comes out of Marx's equation. He says that over time, businesses will invest more and more capital per worker, essentially, into their businesses, and so the rate of profit per worker will fall. Now, there's been a lot of empirical studies of this, and they seem to confirm it. If you use Marx's definition. It's been falling since about 1800 or so. It used to be about 40%. Now it's maybe 10%. So Marx basically defines the profit rate.
And in that time frame, you know what the change in GDP per capita has been?
Yeah.
Well, what has it been?
What, 5-6 times?
5-6 times. Well, GDP per capita around. This is quoting from memory from a book. For fuck's sake, I am autistic when it comes to name. Explaining postmodernism. Okay, the GDP per capita around the beginning of the 1800s was about $300 per person, which, by the way, is about the level of like Ukraine or Chad, and that's $300 like a year. if I remember correctly. I might not. Now, the GDP per capita in a place like the United Kingdom, the United States, et cetera, you know what it is. And this is in real terms. This isn't their $300 versus our $300. In inflation-adjusted terms, it was $300 versus 10,000, 20,000, et cetera. What has happened is not the decrease of value in our society leading to some kind of desperation. What has happened is the increasing specialization of people. So now instead of cooking food at home, you go eat out, which is something that people used to do. But you know, the average person didn't cook food. The average person didn't have a horse. The average person didn't own their probably didn't own their own home. The average person didn't have a watch. What's happened is that the actual creation for the individual, the ability of product moved, has increased so much that we are living in a world vastly different than anything anybody has ever experienced. So if you really want to say that that's a failure of capitalism, that you know, you invest $1 and you don't get, you know, that much back, I suppose you could say that. I suppose you could probably say that, but it's a misreading of the facts, because for a number of reasons. First of all, that only happens. You live in a world where all that exists is like, you know, pig iron and grain, where there's no other new inventions that are created. I forget what's the fucking economic term. You invest more, but you don't get as much. Reducing returns of investment. That only exists if something is already heavily invested in. But there are new inventions happening all the time. It's like I said, new inventions happen, new creations happen, and people will buy those creations. And at the starting point and in the midpoint through the cycle of that, there's a huge amount of profit to be made on the iPhone 26. So you live in a fantasy world. Marx is a fucking idiot. All of his ideas have not come to fruition. Even his basic predictions were wrong. So,
well, on that note, have you read any books by Marx?
Yeah, I've read a couple.
Care to name them?
I'm more interested in like, Marcuse, Freud, and that kind of stuff right now. I think Marx is really 19th century. I'm more into the postmodernist debate right now. I'm reading I'm sorry, I'm retarded when it comes to names. It's me. I was fucked in the head by my black daddy when I was 3 years old. I can't remember names. Modern Man in Search of a Soul by Carl Jung. That's what I'm reading right now. So anyway, so next question.
Next question is, what is your opinion on the funding of the Mexican-American Wall?
Really? Mexico will pay for it. Next question.
What are your opinions on the Steven Crowder "socialism is evil" changed my mind when he basically bullied that kid? If you watch
the guy who was saying that National Socialism is true, and he was trying to be like, he's trying to, you know, he wants to, you know, cuck for the conservatives. I mean, I'm actually with you. I think that National Socialism is evil because of its Enlightenment Hegelian roots, you know. But I think that, you know, he was just trying to, you know, be the good boy. It's just true.
All right. What is your opinion on the death penalty?
On the what?
The death penalty.
There's some people that I think have denied their humanity. There's some actions that I think you can reasonably say that you don't deserve to live anymore. Is that the latest question? Are there no other questions, or are we moving up?
Oh, there are other questions.
Here's a great one.
Ready.
What is your opinion on the Immigration and Naturalization Act of 1965? I think you know what my opinion is. It was an act created by the left in order to import leftist voters, specifically designed to decrease the voting and political power of the natural population. That's what it was, and it's kind of fucked up. Ape, what do you feel about the child labor in third world countries? How should we combat it? I don't think we should. I think that if you live in a third world country and you are so desperate that your child needs to work, then that job is better for you than not having a job. I mean, like, I think people, it's like the same debate about like hunting lions. Why are you killing that lion? It's a peaceful creature. Well, killing that lion is going to add hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I mean, if not millions. I don't know the numbers, but it adds much more money into the preservation of lions than than poaching. So and also they always kill the older lions that are done making babies, so it doesn't impact their longevity. It is actually all good. But hey, this is so bad. It hurts my feelings. Why are you? It's bullshit. I mean, I'm glad that child labor is not necessary in first world countries. I think that there are certain bottoms to our economy that we should have and enforce because it keeps us from competing our lifestyles. It keeps workers from competing with lower lifestyles. As an example, I don't think that we should be competing against China with who can live in a smaller crate. I don't think that we should be competing down lifestyle. So I'm okay with that in first world countries. But in third world countries where they have nothing better, having a job as a 6-year-old is better than starving to death. That's my opinion. What is your opinion on the physical removal of communists and Islamists, assuming they are an inherent threat to our rights and property? A good assumption. Very good assumption. My opinion is at some point we are going to have to come to terms with the fact that there is a fifth column that exists in our society, in our civilization. At some point, we have to take some actions in order to remove these fifth columns, both ideological, religious, and otherwise. And I am seeing how the left acts when they're in power. All I can say is that when the right acts in power, I don't think that we are going to be as kind. And I think that the left has brought all of it down upon itself. And I don't really feel very bad about that. I think it's what the left deserves. So long as we don't genocide any people. I'm crossing my fingers that we don't think we will. I think it'll just be, like more McCarthyism against cucks and shit.
Lieutenant Method is actually asking you, how can you claim to be a gay conservative and at the same time claim that liberals have lost the culture war?
I don't think that liberals have lost the culture war. I never claimed that. In fact, it is a culture war that we're fighting. I think that the evidence that I've seen about Generation Z or Generation Zyklon B is pretty great, but at the same time, liberalism is all pervasive. It is. We believe in liberalism instinctively. So, or at least as an ethical values. Our ethical values entirely liberal. I'm getting some messages from people. Sultan wants me to answer. What's your opinion on British imperialism? I think it did more good than bad. Everywhere that the United Kingdom has imposed Western values is a better place to live, except for Rhodesia and South Africa. But that's because other values were imposed, and we couldn't impose Western values quick enough. Commander Madden once, he's asking me some stupid question. Next question. Let's go ahead and do it. What do you got for me?
Lieutenant Method again is asking you, why did you selectively cite minimum wage data when the data used to come to the conclusion that it strongly empirically causes unemployment controlled for inflation?
I don't know what this question is in relation to. This is kind of context first.
Oh, I think he's talking about a video of yours.
Oh, are you talking about Bernie Sanders?
Yeah, he's confirming it's about
give him voice and let him speak.
Yeah, Lieutenant, are you willing to come to voice chat?
Speak up.
Yes. Mana, talk. Oh, you have no microphone? Oh, he has no microphone. Literally, he has no microphone.
Okay. Yeah, this is kind of not going to work.
Yeah, then I think we have to skip that question.
Yeah.
Commander Madden is asking you, do you follow a certain economic doctrine, for example, Mises, Austrian, or Keynesian economics, or whatever?
The economic doctrine that I've been more interested in learning about, it's the economic doctrine that I think is applied in the United States in general, is the theory around the harmony of the interests. The harmony of the interest is just good Americanism. It was implemented in the Lincoln years. As much, I'm not trying to sort of cut to Lincoln is the best guy, whatever. But I just think that the harmony of the interests is a really good economic position. Like the interests of the proletariat and the wealthy are not, against each other. In fact, the richer the rich people get, the better off that everybody is. Because the reason why rich people get rich is because you bought their iPhones, you stupid fucking piece of shit. So, and that iPhone is giving you a lot more value to your life. So that's why I think there's a harmony of the interests rather than the proletariat versus the bourgeoisie, etc.
Right. Lieutenant Method has one last question for you. He says, how do you consolidate your conservatism and white nationalist leaning views with the fact that you are a homosexual with a half black
I'm not a white
boyfriend?
nationalist. I specifically said that. Next question.
Let me see. Would you rather live in a communist state or in a voluntaristic society?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Who asked it? Armo?
I don't know, some Chinese name dude. I can't read the name.
Oh my god.
This is a question. Does capitalism lead to imperialism? And what is the definition of communism that Marx gave? I'm not going to be able to tell you what the definition of communism Marx gave. You can't come to me. I'm not going to say that I'm a super big brain guy, that I know all this shit offhand. I shitpost on the internet. I'm not a professor. I can't tell you this stuff offhand. I don't know. I don't know what the specific definition of communism. I can tell you in general, Marx believed that communism was, he used it as an ethical argument in a historic piece of historic determinism. There was a Hegelian way, used Hegelian metaphysics to argue that this would be the future. And I think that, it was flawed in a number of different ways. It's every single one of his predictions have been wrong. From which countries would be the first to be communists to how communism would be implemented. I mean, everything has been wrong. So, I can't tell you what the exact definition is. I can tell you in general, but I know what it is. But it's like porn. They can't give a definition, but you know what it is when you see it. And I know you. Go fuck yourself. But the answer is, does capitalism to imperialism? Depends on your definition of imperialism. The communist definition of imperialism, yes, but I would say that it is good. Imperialism is perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine to be imperialist if you use the leftist definition of imperialism, the imposing of hierarchies and natural selection, etc. As imperialism is perfectly fine in my book.
So, not Fox asking you, do you believe that the EU tries to destroy the United States?
No.
Let me see another question. What do you think of abortion from a eugenic perspective?
I think that abortion from a eugenic perspective is unethical. I think that it's better that you view you should have people have their tubes tied as in to promote eugenics, or at least anti-dysgenics. I think that's what it would be, not eugenics. It would be anti-dysgenics. That's my opinion.
Okay. Glorious Yamato is asking you thoughts on collective capitalism.
I don't know what that is. No idea. Thoughts on Japan's massive debt to GDP ratio, 250%. How to solve that? Shit. I don't know, man. I mean, at some point, you have to say that you're fucked. I don't know what you can do. The good thing about Japan's massive debt to GDP ratio is that most of it is owned by Japanese, the Japanese people. So they're fairly nationalistic about it, and they are willing to put up with very low interest rates. But if they are ever shaken by anything and their interest rate rises, then they're fucked, man. They're really fucked. We're kind of close to being there. But I think that it's possible to. I think it's possible to come back from it if you just cut spending wildly and just pay off the deficit. You just have to be able to cut really deeply into your spending. The problem is that it's a political question, and people have their own pet political projects. So you're never going to have the Republicans cut the war budget. You're never going to have leftists cut welfare. When in reality, we kind of need to cut both at this point, and I don't know what to do. I think that it's probably gonna fuck up. You said that in Americanism, the rich and poor should work together. Is this the same thing as fascist class collaboration? I have never heard of this term, fascist class collaboration. If that is national syndicalism. You could probably say that the actual beliefs may be similar. Syndicalism and fascist syndicalism and the harmony of the interests could possibly have similar, from what I know of it, phalangism, etc. I'm probably using the terms wrong, to be honest with you. They're probably very similar in their prescriptions, but how they come to their beliefs is different. The harmony of the interests doesn't exist as within the film of Hegelianism. So it doesn't have the same sort of collectivist danger. And I know I'm using the word as a Sargon, like Sargon, but it's true. It doesn't have the same sort of a collectivist danger as fascism. So sometimes communists can come up with great ideas. Sometimes fascists can come up with great ideas, and we should be able to steal their missile plans and engineering, and reject the genocidal tendencies of both. Good question though. Very, very good question. Why do you believe in debunked economic ideas like austerity when it's proven to never work? Austerity has never worked. I mean, I think the real issue is that we've never needed austerity at this level. So the problem with austerity is that austerity can't work because you guys have fucked it up so bad. Austerity at this point is going to cost some shit. So it's not that austerity, is wrong. It's just that austerity at this point is politically unfeasible. So that's the problem. The problem is the political unfeasibility. It's not that it's been proven wrong to cut your spending and pay your bills. Syndicalism believes in one big union ran by the workers. It's about class struggle. Corporatism is about class collaboration. Yeah, you're probably right that I messed up the things. Ching Chong Chinese man said, "Would you rather live in a communist state or a voluntarist society?" They actually did ask that question, and I don't know. There's problems with both. I guess I would probably say voluntarist society, barely. But the problem with a voluntarist society is it will soon become a communist state.
Potato was wondering who would be the DNC candidate in 2020. Did you hear me, Abe?
I heard you. I think they might be trying to go with Ortega. She has enough backing. She has all the political stuff. They're trying to warm her up to Bernie Sanders. I think they might actually be running her. If they do, Ortega, the Mexican wild-eyed commie cunt.
From New York?
Yeah, from New York.
Cortez.
Yeah, Ortega Cortez. The Mexico name. Her. I think they might be trying to run her. I honestly think that might be what they're doing. I'm going to say it's probably. I'm going to give her like a 30% chance. Everybody else, I don't know.
Do you think it's possible for the NSA to spy on its own citizens? For example, tapping without a warrant on certain laptops, or tapping on a phone or whatever? It's
probably me who's tapping, to be honest with you. Question: why do you support democracy/republic when it's easily exploited, has historically failed, and has been argued against by many leading philosophers such as Plato, Socrates, and many others? That's a good question. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not. I support, republicanism, because I believe it is the society that is most likely to give rise to, you know, the best way of living, essentially. I think there is such a thing as the best way of living. I think that, you know, there's the fruition of humanity that exists within republicanism, within, you know, the Roman Republican, Athens, etc. That is valuable and we should strive towards. And it's a greater expression of the human existence. And I think that only exists really under, well, you could say constitutional monarchy. I could say that's probably a good example, but only if you have that sort of republicanism baked into your political system. That's kind of why. I know that, you know, the survivability is low, but I still think it's worth it. Yeah. I guess I'll take 2 more questions.
Okay, so Supercalifragilistic is asking you, Abe, is any possibilities of a two-state solution according to the pre-1967 borders concerning the Israel-Palestine conflict?
I don't really like. I mean, I'm not an expert on Israel. Can we ask a different question? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not an expert. If you want my real answer, the answer is that I'm happy that Israel is killing the Muslims. I think that Israel is a colony of white supremacism in the Middle East. I'm happy with that. But for a serious answer, I don't know, man. I'm not an expert on this. I haven't studied into it.
Okay. Let me see another question.
Do we have a good closer?
Oh, here's a good. Would you be willing to do research on the Mondragon Corporation in Spain, where workers' cooperatives operate competitively in a market economy, and then make a video about it? No. But I actually do think that that sort of workers' cooperatives is pretty cool. I think that is, you know, the worker ownership of a company is perfectly fine. I'm not against that. I just think that enforcing that, you know, from with a gun is stupid. I mean, here's the best sort of thought experiment you can have. If worker ownership of a company worked better, why is it that we still have the corporate structure and we don't have workers' cooperatives running everything? Maybe it's because you need to have bosses. You need to have the ownership of intellectual property. You need to have this higher bureaucracy in order to function in a modern world. Maybe it's because the specialization of labor also includes management. Maybe that's why. Maybe you're just fucking stupid. You commie fuck. But I mean, I'm perfectly fine with workers' cooperatives. I shop at a farmer's market all the goddamn time. I know that's not necessarily workers' cooperatives, but it's, you know, it's similar in you know, my intention to support local people and shit. So yeah.
I think OnLab has a question for you. Last question.
I mean, you have to like compare and contrast the benefits of it. The benefit of having the two-party system is that, you know, you can actually get things done. Whereas if you have a multi-party system, then you get a watered down, you know, sort of a version of everything. Like if the center left, the far left, the middle left, and the leftist right, etc., are sort of working in tandem, then, you know, it's just watered down bullshit. The leftist right, yeah, I'm speaking in slang. The right wing that pretends to be right wing but is actually slightly leftist, like, you know, the Christian Conservative Party of Angela Merkel. Fuck those commie pieces of shit. But you know, if they all work together, then it's like, then, you know, it's just watered down bullshit. Nobody gets what they want. Everybody's unhappy. And then people move to the extreme. So I mean, at the same time, you know, the problem is that the two-party system does lead to higher polarization. I mean, you know, the Civil War happened, you know, because of the failure of our political system to deal with that situation. But I have to be honest with you. I think that sometimes political systems fail, you know. So sometimes political systems will fail, and the real question is, what will the people build in its place? So The question is which one works better. They both have their strengths and weaknesses, but the problem with government isn't the government essentially; it's with the people of government. Do the people truly believe in liberty and injustice and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Do they really vote for it? And the answer right now is only if you voted for Trump. You common pieces of shit. I'm waiting for the. No, never. It's not going to happen in the United States. The problem with the idea that's never going to happen in the United States is that the Republican. Okay, so the Democratic Party seems to march lockstep with itself. It's because the Democratic Party is like like 5 cities. That's it. That's it. Whereas the Republicans are vast in different cultures, different perspective, et cetera, et cetera. So the Republican Party is like this dustbin of different perspectives, whereas the Democratic Party is Hillary Clinton and Obama's Chicago political machine. And that's sort of the issue with the United States. The Democratic Party is not going to let anything come up on the left that is not it. Whereas the Republican Party is fractured because of the fundamental, just the fundamentals of geography in the United States. 6 of you want to know what I think about abortion being made legal in Ireland. I am perfectly fine with that. The Irish are subhuman, and this is just one more step towards the ultimate goal of God, the destruction of the Irish race. Anyway, I think that's going to be it. I'm going to go and read up on the FISA abuse article that I read earlier, because I wasn't prepared for that specific question. Why? Mm-hmm. Because I don't prepare for this shit. And remember that shit.
Okay. Thanks for coming, Abe. If anyone wants to check him out, his YouTube link is linked in the AMA channel. Be sure to check him out. And again, thanks for coming.
All right. You're very welcome. Bye.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Which chat?
Thanks for coming, and everyone, check out his YouTube channel and his live stream channel.
Oh shit! He really said the Irish are sub.
Okay, I'm not gonna. Okay, I don't know if that dude was kind of.
Yo, Armenian, I got like 20 questions, my guy.
He.
That's a surprise. I watched him like 2 years ago and stopped watching the channel.
Okay. Yeah, the Irish are subhuman, and Mexico is gonna pay for the wall. Boom.